We got some breaking news. Welcome into the Jays Digest live stream. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. We got breaking news. Alek Manoah has been called up for this Friday's start against the Detroit Tigers. A shocking development,
Yeah.
really. I mean, he's only had 2 rehab starts, one in the Florida Complex League, which did not go well, but we suspect that they didn't care about the results there. They just cared about him working on one specific thing, and he got hammered as a result. So nothing wrong with that. But he had another start in Double-A New Hampshire just recently. He struck out 10 in 5 innings, and now the Blue Jays believe that he is ready to go for this Friday against the Detroit Tigers. So I don't know what to make of this, Nick, but this seems like a super rushed decision by the Blue Jays front office.
Yeah, I mean it seems rushed, and a lot of people are thinking the same thing. And we haven't been live in a while, so this is welcome back to everyone who was in here. We've been meaning to go live, but it's a good time to do it. An hour and a half before a game. We won't be live till then, but yeah, Peter, you texted me. You're the one who broke the news to me. Usually I'm all on Twitter, but I was lying down taking a bit of a nap. But Alek Manoah starts Friday against the Tigers, says John Schneider. Kevin Gossen pushed to Saturday for an extra day's rest. And Thomas Hawk came out here and said, did not see this coming at all. Returning Alek Manoah to the majors seems like rushing, but I guess the Jays were convinced by his 10 strikeout performance. And I don't know. This is a little bit wild to me. A little bit wild. Obviously, clearly the Florida didn't mean anything. So clearly he was, like you said and we said before, was just a process thing. And he did have a great start at Double-A, but I was expecting at least 2 to 3 more starts. And if he gets called up Friday, he is called up Friday, and he gets lit up, like Nick just said, then what happens? We're back to square one?
The numbers were good. The numbers were good in the Double-A start, but if you look at the underlying metrics, I mean, his command wasn't great. I think he threw 49 strikes and 82 pitches, so that's almost a 50% ratio there of balls to strikes. So obviously, I'm no math guy, but that's not good. That's not good. You got to get better than that. So I would have given him a couple of more starts. And right now, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you're walking that line there. Whether you're kind of desperate right now and you need some help right away, but you also got to remember that this guy is going to be one of your cornerstone pieces going forward. And do you really want to stunt his development by rushing him back to the big leagues? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. But they must believe that he's ready, and they must have seen some things that they liked out of him in his Florida Complex League stint and now in New Hampshire in Double-A.
We were on record recently saying we didn't think he'd be called up. We were debating even this year, but then Ross Atkins said he'll definitely be back this season. We were expecting, again, I think my prediction was September maybe or August, and we made a video today about Hyun Jin Ryu and his progress, so I thought he would slide into that spot, but I guess they want someone, and I guess that's the thing. If Manoah fails again, they bring him back down to the minors, where maybe he'll be there until Ryu gets ready or something like that, but I don't know. A lot of comments here saying this is the Jays being cheap and not wanting to make a move for a rental piece as a starter. That is another interesting kind of twist to this. Is does this take them? I don't know if it takes them out of purchasing for a starter. There's not many starters out there, but it's definitely an interesting thing. But one silver lining is that the Tigers are a very weak hitting team. They're a pretty weak team in general, so he is coming back against a weak team. But again, if he gets lit up against them, you could also flip it the other way around and say that it is not going to be good for anyone involved, really.
Right. Well, but when it comes to acquiring an asset, we also got to remember that the Blue Jays farm system is not very loaded, and they don't have too many pieces to go out there and acquire a guy on the trade market, especially in this year's trade market where the value is just so thin and there aren't that many pieces out there that are game breakers. So, okay, fine, you're going to give up a mid-tier prospect for Michael Lorenzen or someone of that nature. Where does that get you? Does that help you get to where you need to go? Ultimately, if the Blue Jays want to accomplish anything, they need Alek Manoah to get back to some sort of semblance of his old self, and that's going to be very important down the line as well. But like I said before, you also don't want to stunt his development, and you don't want him to be totally broken mentally before he's ready to come back to the majors. So
Yeah.
it's tough for me, man. It's tough. I think this is just too quick. It's too quick of a turnaround. 2 weeks ago, we were saying, oh my God, the end of the world. He just gave up 11 earned runs in the Florida Complex League against high schoolers, and now he's getting ready to pitch in the major leagues on Friday. So I really don't know what to make of this, Nick. I'm just as shocked as each and every one of you in this live stream right now.
Yeah, make sure to hit the like button if you're enjoying the streams. We'll be doing more, but it was yeah, I don't know. I wonder what Ross Atkins or Manoah said to Ross Atkins, whatever, over the past few days or a week or whatever it was, to get himself to get called back up, because I don't know what they possibly could have done. And yeah, I agree. It is a catch-22 in the sense of it makes sense from a team standpoint to not keep using their bullpen. And like we spoke today in depth in our video, if you go check that after this if you haven't seen it. But the bullpen's getting taxed, and they're losing games because of that, and they needed to change something up. However, is Manoah the guy that you want to call up this early? Someone who was a Cy Young almost a Cy Young winner last year. He's been great since he got this season, and I would have preferred if they just left him down until he was 100%. Even if you would have given him another 2 or 3 starts at AA, or maybe a start at AA, 2 starts at AAA, and he does solid in those, and then call him up, that would make some sense. Wait till after the All-Star break, but they gave him 2 starts total against real hitters, one of them being in Florida and one of them being in AA. I think you're muted, Peter. I think you're muted. We're good.
I was. My bad, guys. But I think the other way we can look at it is that maybe they are just banking on his confidence and his success and his track record that he has had in the past. So that's another way to look at it. Maybe the Blue Jays front office believes in his ability. I certainly still believe in his ability. If he gets into better condition, if he comes up with a better game plan with the pitch clock and works accordingly with that, I do believe that he can get back to who he used to be. But I just don't think you can transform yourself from the worst pitcher in baseball to MLB ready in just 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, however long he was down there. So I would have given him a couple of more starts, at least until after the All-Star break. This does feel like a bit of a rush move and a bit of a desperation move from the Blue Jays front office.
Yeah, so let's address some of the chat here. Indra Gray saying, so what's the plan then? If he gets lit up when he comes back, are they going to send him down again? That seems far worse. That's the biggest kind of, I guess the scariest part here is if he does get lit up, you're not going to send him back down after one start. I'd assume they give him a few. And I wonder how much of this has to do with the timing of the All-Star break. It is approaching soon. Peter, do you know how many starts he would have, assuming, when is the All-Star break? It's soon. I know that it's mid-July.
It is after the Detroit series, if I'm not mistaken.
So maybe they plan this perfectly
I'll
to where
confirm that.
You confirm, but maybe they plan it to where Manoah has his one start against Detroit. If he does great, phenomenal, he has a positive headspace going into the All-Star break. If he does bad, he has the All-Star break to kind of think about it. I think it's around 5 days off, so then he'll have the All-Star break.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is his last start. It would be his only start before the All-Star break. Yeah.
So maybe that might be. I'm sure before today's game and after today's game, some coaches will speak about it. We'll have a video for you guys on that tomorrow regarding it. I'm sure everyone's going to speak out on it, so we'll cover you with that. But I wonder if that's the reason. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if you think. I think that could have something to do with it, as well as the Hyun Jin Ryu timing as well. But if he gets lit up, it's an issue either way, but he does at least get the All-Star break to to think about it, or for the team to evaluate it.
Yeah, coming out of the All-Star right now, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays and you're calling up Alek Manoah, this is a sign that he's not going back down. This is it. He's here for the rest of the season, whether he's bad or not. You've shown that you don't have any other internal options, and it is what it is. If he struggles again, he's just got to eat it. He's got to wear it. And then you go from there. But I just don't think that's the right way to go about it. But that's what the Blue Jays are signaling here. And when it comes to lining them up after the All-Star break, I do believe Kevin Gausman's going to slide into that number 1 spot.
Yep.
Then it'll be Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, Kikuchi.
Yeah.
Manoah will be the number 5, take a bit of the pressure off of him. And I think that's their reasoning in doing that. But this is a very desperate move from Ross Atkins and company. They're bringing him up. They're not going to send him back down. This is it. Alek Manoah is going to be up for the rest of the year unless he just cannot get outs, which is a legitimate possibility because he wasn't able to do that before being demoted.
And I think, it also shows a bit of some signs of desperation for the Blue Jays to a degree.
Baby Yoda saying this is desperation.
Yeah, especially regarding winning the next 2 series against the White Sox. Obviously, Manoah's not pitching in the White Sox game, but it goes to show that these next series are very, very important for the Blue Jays, and it also helps point a direction for Ross Atkins for the trade deadline as well. I wonder if this is part of it. There's tons of reasons we can go about this, but maybe they want to see what they got on Alek Manoah for the trade deadline. And I want to get in the chat, just type if you're happy. I guess yes if you're happy, no if you're unhappy, or yes if you think you should have got called. But he is Spike. Yeah, I can get a poll going, and we'll see, and let us know your reasons why. What's up? I think Manoah's getting traded to the Yankees. Classic Ben Rogers.
Shout out to Ben.
Are you happy with? Yeah, Manoah is back with the Blue Jays. He starts this Friday. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Hit the like button as well if you're enjoying. We're going to be going live more. Oops, sorry about that. Let us know. I feel like I know what the answer is, and let us know your reasons why or why not. I think we know why. I think it's a bit of a rush from the Blue Jays, and I'm very, very curious. What's up, Caleb? Can you see the Jays as sellers if the next couple series don't go well? Um, I don't see a world where they sell. I don't think they buy though. I think they might just stand pat if they.
Yeah.
I thought the plan was after the All-Star. I thought
My
the plan was late as well, but clearly not.
my reasoning is that there's no one on the market that puts them over the top unless it's Shohei Ohtani, and that's not going to happen. So I think the Blue Jays stand pat. They don't want to give up any assets, but they don't want to sacrifice their chance if they do manage to squeak into the playoffs. So they're hoping for a Phillies scenario. They're hoping to squeak into the playoffs, the 86, 87 win team, and then try to get hot once you're in there. And we've been saying it for a while now. You gotta just play your luck and play your hand once you do get into the playoffs. And the Blue Jays have the pieces in place for a playoff run. They got a good starting rotation. They got good back end arms in the bullpen, and they do have some good hitters that just have not performed. So if they do manage to find a hot streak going into the playoffs, then I think they have as good a chance as anybody. But I don't think it's worth selling any assets, and I don't think it's worth getting any assets on the trade market either, because there's no one that'll really put you over the edge there.
Yeah, at least not that we know of right now. There's crazy stuff happens, so maybe some players will pop up, but we need to win these next two series. We need to win a lot. I'm starting to feel like I'm on the Fire Atkins bandwagon, and a lot of people are starting to feel that way. I haven't hit the panic button yet. I know a lot of Peter. I know you've kind of started to teeter towards that side. It's World Series or bust, IMO. I think this year, that's a great question as well. I mean, coming into the season, we kind of spoke about World Series or bust, but I don't know. I think we need to. The fact we're not even in a playoff spot right now and we're 2 games out is definitely a bit concerning, but I don't know. This Manoah, someone mentioned, I don't know where it was, but basically said that this could be detrimental for Manoah if he comes up and gets rocked again. And I don't know how you would recover if he gets to the point where you even have to consider sending him down again this season, which I don't think they do unless stuff happens, but I don't know. They had to bring him up at some point. So,
bottom line, Nick, he's a professional athlete, and he is someone that's shown a killer instinct on that mound. So, if he gets lit up, it's just another roadblock in his pursuit back to who he used to be. And that's going to take a whole offseason to iron out. So if he can't get back to some sort of what he used to be in this year, then he's got to work his butt off in the offseason. And it's as simple as that. He's got to get into better shape. He's got to get ready for the season. And I think he got complacent. He got very used to his success coming into the year. He's never faced adversity, not only in his major league career, but in his baseball career in general. He was always good. He relied on his talent, solely on his talent, and it was working for him. He was getting the results that everyone was expecting out of him, and then he got punched in the neck, and he didn't know what to do. He was like a deer in the headlights when he got punched, and he had no pushback. So maybe he ironed out his mentality a little bit in the minor leagues now. Maybe he's ready to go on Friday. That's what the Blue Jays see internally. So let's wait and see how this plays out. But I don't think it's over if he gets lit up again. I just think he's going to have to work that much harder in the offseason and get back to who he used to be.
yeah, and I mean from a a fan standpoint, whether we think it's the right baseball decision or not, this makes for a very, very fun Friday evening against the Tigers because let's also, and we've talked a lot about whether we think 75% said they're not happy with it. I'm kind of on the fence. I think Peter, you're also on the fence. I think they rushed it too soon, but I do understand why they did it. I definitely do understand that, but let's think about the positive side. Let's just may as well talk about that a little bit. If he happens to come back to, I think you mentioned on a video, a 3.5 ERA or something hovering around there. If he can get somewhere close to where he was before,
I think that's wishful. I think
I think so too.
I would go with a mid four at this point, but just something that it helps you out. Someone that eats innings. That's what I want out of Alek Manoah at this point. And in the offseason, that's when you work to get your good stuff back and become that dominant pitcher that you used to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think a 3.5 is
I think it's.
reasonable at this
I
point.
don't think it's reasonable, but I can have a pipe dream and think that it's
Yeah,
possible.
I hope you're right.
And also, you mentioned the weak trade, class here. And again, I don't know how much this has to do with it, but maybe the Blue Jays front office has been looking and thinking, realistically, who are they going to trade for that has as much upside as Alek Manoah would right now to
No one,
put.
no one, no
So
one.
maybe they're just
Yeah.
thinking, may as well throw him back. I mean, Michael Kopech is very, very solid. Marcus Stroman would be the guy if is getting traded, but Jays won't. I don't think are gonna, if they do, it's tons of assets. So they probably just thinking like Manoah's been that guy in the past who's done it, so may as well give him one more chance to do it. And we also don't know what he's done behind the scenes. That's obviously another big part of this. He could have been doing phenomenal in the bullpens behind the scenes. He could have been working on everything perfectly. His slider was there. Maybe he's feeling confident, but from a step back perspective, I would have liked to see him wait a little bit. But how much longer do they have to wait with these bullpen days? We don't know.
They don't, man. They don't, and that's the thing. And obviously, you're not going to acquire someone on the trade market with Alek Manoah's upside. He's one of the better young pitchers in the game when he's going right and he's healthy and he's got his stuff. But that just hasn't been the case this year. But whoever you were going to acquire this season, the two things you're going to have to overpay. You're going to have to overpay mightily. So even if it was a fifth starter, the market is so weak that you'd have to give like a mid-tier or a top 10 prospect from your system, and the Jays are not in the position to do that. And it's just a temporary fix. This is not a solution to the Alek Manoah problem. You're going to need him back, whether it's this year or next year. He's going to be in that rotation. So it's not like you can go out there and get a fifth starter and that just solves all your problems with the Toronto Blue Jays. You need this guy back. You need him back to what he used to be. But I just think it's just a little bit of a rush. Like it's a total two ends of the spectrum. He was awful. He was awful a couple of weeks ago, and now he's getting geared up to make a major league start. It just doesn't make
We
sense
got
to me, man.
yeah, we
Let's
got a
get
super
gaming.
chat gaming. Shout out to you. We haven't done a stream in a while. First super chat in a long time. We're gonna be going live more often. We're gonna try to go maybe once a week or so. But feel like fighting for the wild card spot at this point. We need Manoah. Question is, what version are we getting? We'll see next start. But if it ends up being bad, it could crush his confidence going forward. It's a good point. Like Peter said, he's a professional athlete, so he's got to hope that his confidence won't be too. He'll be fine. Let's just say that. Let's just hope. Let's
I
just
think he
hope.
will. I'm gonna go on the record and say he'll be all right.
I
But
think he
I don't
does
know if it'll
okay.
be this year, but
I
he'll
think he
be
does
okay.
okay. I think my prediction, we can get your predictions. We're saying, oh, hey, live stream, I missed these. Yeah, we've been super busy to do these streams. We're going to try to come back and do them maybe once a week or as much as we can. We love interacting with you guys. But I'm going to go with the prediction. You guys can leave your prediction. And Peter, I know you just did, but for your Alek Manoah, I think he teeters the rest of the season around a 4 ERA-ish. And then he'll go have a full off season of refinement and then be very, very good next season. I don't think he's a 2.5 ERA guy. I just don't think he is. I think he's more of a 3.3-ish ERA guy, like low
That's elite.
threes.
If
It's
you can
phenomenal.
sustain that for your entire career,
It's
that's
phenomenal.
very good.
I,
You're a frontline guy.
I think last year was a bit of a, I don't want to say an anomaly. Maybe the hitters didn't adjust fully. Who knows what it was? But I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be okay when it's said and done. I think he stays in that fifth starter spot the rest of the season. But then that begs the question of Peter, what do we do with Hyun Jin Ryu? Let me ask you that question. Do we shift to a
I
six-man
think
rotation? Do you think they just use him as a long man? Do you
they
think
could go to a six man, but I think he takes Mitch White's place in the bullpen or Trent Thornton, one of the two, because those guys have no place on a major league roster. And I'm sorry to say, we've seen enough out of them to just throw Hyun Jin Ryu into that swingman type role in the bullpen and let him work from there. He's a veteran guy. He's had success in the past. I think you throw him into that role and then you go from there. But when it comes to Alek Manoah, I see a lot of comments here saying this could break his career. This could be it for him. I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I do think he's very strong mentally. He's just got to work on some things. He got too comfortable with his success, and now he finally faced some adversity and he just didn't know how to handle it. He's going to work alongside the approach team of the Toronto Blue Jays. Is going to work alongside the coaches, and he's going to get back to a semblance of his old self. Maybe not the 2.2 ERA that Nick was talking about, but if he's a low threes, mid threes for the rest of his career, I don't think anyone is complaining considering the way that this season has unfolded. So I wouldn't go as far as saying this start on Friday or his next few starts in a Blue Jay uniform are going to make or break his career, but It'll depend how hard he'll have to work in the offseason. If he gets lit up, he'll have to put in a lot more work
Yeah.
in the offseason than I'm sure he intended to.
Yeah. Shout out Gaming again for that donation. Very, very generous.
Yeah.
And again, I think Ryu, I have a feel like maybe they give him a start. You'd think they might give him one or two. Maybe they give, some guys some extra rest. I think ultimately he'll probably end up in the Mitch White role, or one of the two. Maybe Hyun Jin Ryu comes out and dominates for his final, however many starts, and Manoah gets moved to the Mitch White role. That's something that's, I think we're at a point now where you said it perfectly. Manoah's not getting sent down the rest of this year. I don't think no matter what happens. I think worst comes to worst, you just
Here to
throw him in the
stay.
bullpen, right? You just throw him in the bullpen and take over a Mitch White role, who, again, I don't think one of the worst trades, probably the worst trade in the Ross Atkins era there for Nick Frasso. And in the moment, it didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I can't be positive. It's an interesting move. Thank you, Gaming. We're going to try to go live more for you guys. It's an interesting move,
Yes.
and got to hope that Manoah does it. It's on Manoah, and this is the front office putting a lot of faith in Manoah. Maybe even not from an internal perspective, because they're not going to overreact as much as a lot of us do. And Peter, you're not overreacting. I agree with what you said about him. If he's not going to blow it up, but from a media perspective, they knew what this is going to cause. I'm sure they know what this is going to cause for Manoah and the pressure that this is going to put on him, even if it's less than what he had before.
Absolutely. Absolutely, this would cause an uproar. Jay's Twitter
I haven't
is on
checked it
fire
since,
right
yeah.
now. Don't, Nick, unless you want to start convulsing on the floor. I suggest you take a break from Twitter for the night. But Alek Manoah, the way his season has gone, he's been worse and worse and worse every start, and it's gone progressively worse to the point where he was unstartable. Now, maybe the Jays picked up on a couple of things that they saw that needed to be ironed out, and maybe he fixed those things. Maybe it was just a minor mechanical adjustment that he was repeatedly doing over and over again, and he fixed that in his bullpen sessions. He fixed that in his minor league rehab starts, and they've seen enough to the point where they think he's ready and he's startable. They don't think he's back to that Cy Young candidate that he was in years past, but maybe he's startable now, and that's all the Blue Jays want out of him, and that's why they're starting him before the All-Star break, and then he's going to be the fifth starter coming out of the Midsummer Classic.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, hit the like button. Shout out everyone in here. We have 130 plus people, so we'll stay live for a little bit longer before we let you guys go for the game here shortly. How do we expect Ryu to be a serviceable major leaguer when he can't even throw 90 miles per hour anymore with possible location issues? I mean, I don't know.
He's talking about Ryu.
Yeah, no,
Talking
I
about
know, I
Ryu.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows location? He's never been a velocity guy. Obviously, he's a bit lower now than he was between 91 and 92. But I think Ryu could be serviceable. He had a great start today in for a complex league.
Yeah, I just saw a message saying Ross Atkins should be fired. I think it got deleted just now, but Ross Atkins, I do think Ross Atkins is in the hot seat. If Manoah comes up, they rushed him prematurely, and he gets lit up. I do think he was going to come back at some point this season, but not this quickly. At least give him until after the All-Star break. I don't understand the rush to get him a start before then. But Nick, you alluded to it. Maybe it's because they want to gauge what's out there on the trade market and see if they need to make a desperation move, considering the Alek Manoah performances. So that does make sense on that front. But yeah, I would have waited till after the All-Star game in Seattle to go ahead and do that.
Would have made it a lot easier for a lot less media attention if it was after the All-Star break. That's an extra week for Alex Anthopoulos' CEO role. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm so lost with this team. I think I didn't expect it to be this soon, but I mean, if you read in between the lines a week ago when Ross Atkins was talking about it, he made it pretty clear that he was coming back, not necessarily as soon as this, but pretty recently. And maybe Alek Manoah requested this. Is he in a position to really request? Probably not. But maybe
I
he's
think
feeling
so.
great.
I think so because he is confident, Nick, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that he's always been able to bank on. So I think Manoah said, "Look, man, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna prove people wrong. I'm gonna give you guys some innings, and that's the end of that." So I do believe that was another possible scenario that unfolded as well.
Yeah, interesting. I'll take people for that. Ryu be better than Kikuchi. Lots of takes here. I think control will become Ryu's biggest issue before getting injured. He set a personal record for walks. Yeah, he was not himself, and that seemed to be because of the injury. So again, I have probably more faith in Ryu for some reason than I probably should. I don't know why. I just have a feeling he could be serviceable in some degree, useful in some degree, I
Mhm.
should say, rather than he's not going to be the guy he was in 2020 at all. But the Jays need arms, and they have Chad Green coming up as well, which is I don't know. They haven't had an update on him recently, but he was supposed to be back some point after the All-Star break, maybe early August or so. So
Right. Yeah, well, the one thing with Hyun Jin Ryu is that he's never been a velocity guy. So even at 37 years of age, and he's actually lost 30 pounds as well, which is something that'll definitely play into his advantage and to his durability. So if he does come back and he's throwing 89 to 90 on the corners with that filthy changeup and that good curveball that he possesses, then I think he will be serviceable because he's never been a 95 plus mile an hour pitcher. That's not his game. So I think he can come back and be effective, at least more effective than Mitch White or Trent Thornton have been in the bullpen. But I will give a shout out to Mitch White. He has been pretty decent coming out of that pen, but still not an option that I would like to go with in a close ball game if I'm the Blue Jays.
yeah, no, I agree, and I feel like Chad Green is going to be a huge factor. Yeah, depending how he comes back, I think he could be. We need a good trade deadline, but who do we trade? There's not. We don't have. It's not like we have a very vast prospect pool to trade out of. Unfortunately, or
Mhm.
we have a pretty minimal prospect pool, and I think the guys that we have right now are the guys we're going to need to win with if we're going to win this year. I don't think there's a difference maker out there at the deadline like there has been in previous years. I don't think the Jays are one piece away. I think they have the pieces now. It's just a matter of them performing.
That's the thing, and we touched on it in an earlier video, Nick. That the bottom line is just that they gotta perform. You got a ton of hitters here that are just not performing up to standard, and you could pitch as well as you want, but if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has an OPS under 800 or under 900 for that matter, your team's not going anywhere because he's your best hitter and he's got to be your best hitter for you to accomplish anything. Same thing with Bo Bichette. He's got to step it up, and he has been good all season long, but he's got to be better. He's got to elevate to that superstar level. And some other guys as well. We just got to see some more consistency out of these hitters, and I think things will start to fall into place. But right now, they're just not giving enough, and that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what moves you make; your internal guys got to be better.
Yeah, and I think they will, but we have to hope because 2 games out of a playoff spot, July 4th is not where we expected to be back when the season started on
No.
March 30th. But like many Jays optimists have said, it could always be worse. You could be the Cardinals or the Mets, for example. So we got to be, I don't know.
Yeah, we can be glass half full as well. Our supposed best pitcher coming into the season got sent to the rookie development league, whatever the hell you want to call it, and you're still 5 games over 500. So you could spin it that way. And if he does get back to that old self this season, I don't think it's going to happen. But if he does manage to find that past form that he had, then you're adding an ace caliber pitcher to your staff, and you're already 5 games over 500. So that's a deadline acquisition in itself, if you want to look at it that way. And we talk about the bullpen being taxed. You're adding Chad Green, a known fireballer, a guy who's been a great setup man for years, past in the Yankees for those great teams. So those are two deadline acquisitions right there, and even Hyun Jin Ryu, if you want to add him in there as well. So you don't necessarily need to do anything on the trade market. Your guys that are internal, that are in-house, just got to be better. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but that's just the bottom line. You're not going anywhere unless Vladimir Guerrero Jr. starts to carry this offense.
Yeah, that being said, I do think they do. I think the trade deadline will be fun. I do think the Jays will make some moves.
Me too.
I just think they're
Me
going to be
too.
more minor moves. I think they're going to be more. Maybe I feel like at this point, the most likely option. I think we definitely get a kind of a fourth outfielder with some power. I think the Jays definitely go out and do that because I think they're sick of seeing some certain players out there in the outfield sometimes. Biggio and people like that. Who's been good. He's been good. But any final thoughts, Peter, before we wrap up here? We have around an hour till the game. We'll let you guys go and digest this information some more. We'll have a video on it tomorrow, breaking down some more, we'll have a more composed take for a video tomorrow, as well as some of the other stuff that's going on. But any final thoughts? Shout out everyone in here. We had a huge turnout, 133 people. So shout out every one of you in here.
Yeah, it's just exciting news, and I'm glad we were both home and we were able to bring it to
Worked
you
out.
right away, which is something we pride ourselves on. We like to go live the minute there's some breaking news in Jays land, but we want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time and for being in here as well. But Yeah, let's see how this goes on Friday. We will have a more composed video coming out in the next day or two about Alek Manoah and what this start could mean for not only his season but for his future to come. So stay tuned for that. And thanks to each and every one of you, and thanks to Let's Get Gaming for the donation as well.
Yeah, and we'll try to do some more live streams for you guys in the future. And yeah, look out for the lots of Manoah content coming. But hopefully he does well, and let's hope the Jays win tonight. Because if they lose, then I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But thank you all for tuning in, and we'll
You'll
see.